Agar wood, aloes wood, kharu, eagle wood are all synonym of a resinous fragrant called oud. Hey folks, welcome back to my channel Intellectual Sense. My name is Divjot. Now in today's video is not a review, it's more of my findings on the subject of oud. So in this particular video, I will take you through 5 questions I asked myself, then I tried finding an answer to it, and I'm sharing that findings with you. And at the end of the video, I will show you 5 houses where you should look to explore Dhanal oud in case you are interested in the fragrance called oud. So if you're liking this kind of content, I will really appreciate if you like this video and subscribe to my channel, as this particular content took me years to research. So let's start with first question. Now the first question which I asked myself was, what is oud? Now oud is a formation of a fragrant resin in Aquilaria tree. Now these Aquilaria tree are about 19 species are found all over the world. They are found in South Asia, Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka. So they are only found in these particular region, even South China also. And oud is formed as a resin by this particular tree when there is a stress to this particular tree, and that stress can be abiotic, biotic stress, like it could be a natural stress with insects and birds, or it could be a man-made stress also. So it's a very complex process, and the percentage of oud formation in these trees is about 7 to 10%. So for example, if 100 trees are getting infected, only 7 or 10 trees will create a oud resin out of it. And extracting this particular oud resin is a very complex process. So that's the reason most of the people have not actually smelled oud. They have either smelled oud accord, but natural oud is very rarely some people would have smelled it. So this is what oud is. Now the second question which I asked myself was, what's the difference between wild oud, organic oud, or a synthetic oud or a synthetic accord which are created? Now the oud prices differ from $100 a kilogram to about $10,000 a kilogram. The infected agar wood is the most expensive wood in the world. So the wild oud and the organic oud, the basic difference is that in wild oud, the stress which is induced to those trees is natural. Like I said, it will be through birds or insects. That's how that stress is induced to those particular tree, and tree in response creates this fragrance of oud, or aloes it's called. In organic oud, which has become quite famous these days, is that it is man-made. People will put chemical, they will do inoculation of the tree, and the tree will create that resin. So that's a basic difference between wild oud and organic oud. In my till now, I have only smelled few wild oud. You will never get to, it's very hard to get a wild oud. It's very expensive actually. So they start from like 80,000 rupees a tola to 100k a tola. So wild oud is quite expensive. Organic oud on the other hand is very manageable. You are able to get organic oud for 10,000 rupees a tola also. So what's a synthetic oud? Normally it's a chemical which is creating the accord of oud. And also you could create a natural accord using different ingredients like jatamasi, cypriol oil. Now cypriol oil is used a lot in Western perfumes. Most of the oud perfume you smell is actually a cypriol oil. And because oud has become very famous, it's very hard to get natural oud, people are using cypriol oil as an alternative to it. So 90% of the folks who have smelled oud is actually they have smelled cypriol oil or jatamasi or some other accords which they would have created an oud accord. So that's the basic difference between wild oud, organic oud and a synthetic accord. So the next question which I asked myself was how the distillation of oud happens. Now this particular process is a very complex process. I talked to several distillers on this particular subject, and they were very kind enough to provide some knowledge upon it. Obviously they will not tell me everything, but I tried finding as much as I can. Now the first thing which they have to decide is what kind of quality of oud they want to distill. Like they want to go with wild or organic oud. In that also you could have different varieties of oud. That's the first decision they have to make. The second decision which they have to make is that do you want to soak it or not soak it? Now soaking is a process where they put the oud chips or the powder of the oud chips into water and they can soak it up to 60 days also. Some people do that. Now how soaking helps is that it brings different kind of flavor or a smell or aroma to that oud. It gives it more barnyard type quality to it. Non-soaked oud are more clean, easier to digest. The other thing which soaking also does is that it increases the yield value to it. Now, normally if you look into it, if you distill 1 kilogram of oud, that will give you from anywhere from 1 to 2% of yield value. That means 1 ml or 2 ml you will get it. But soaking can increase that particular yield value. Now, how much that increases, it depends upon different techniques of it. Now, once you have decided, okay, you want to go with soak or non-soak, then you have to decide what kind of container I want to distill my oud in. There are several options. Copper is one of them, aluminium. You could do it in glass container, and all of them changes the smell of oud. And the last bit is that how much time do you want to age that? The oud changes these textures with age. If it's newly distilled, then it will smell slightly different. If you age it, it will smell slightly different. So that is the other process. And all these decisions will decide the price of it. So oud can cost a lot of money, and there is no cheap oud per se. But I will tell you a few houses which create good oud at good price point at the end of this video. Now the next question which I asked myself was religion and oud. Now, oud has been mentioned in a lot of religious texts. I will start with Vedas. Now, there is a fragrance called Astagandha. It's basically 8 ingredients which have been mentioned in Vedas. And one of the ingredients which was mentioned in Vedas was agar. Second bit is that if you look into the concept of agarbatti, which we Indians use to fumigate, there are 2 words to it, agar and batti. Agar is nothing but agar wood which we're talking about. Batti is obviously light. So if you look into it, we Indians have been using agar wood for a very, very long time. It is our product. That means we were the one who were distilling it, we were who were producing it, and we are the one who were using it for a very, very long time. Second bit is that if you look into the religion of Buddhism, when Lord Buddha passed away, in his cremation, there is a mention of using sandalwood, heavenly woods, and agar wood as in his funeral pyre. So India has been one of the first people, the ancient Indians were the first people who were using oud. So it's not an Arab culture, which a lot of people say, oh, it's an Arab culture. No, it was our culture, but we have to reconnect to that culture back again. So oud has had big impact or big play in Indian culture. It's also mentioned in Christian texts and also Islamic texts also. So oud is part of all the 4 major religions in the world. So oud has played a big part, and it's been used by ancient people for very, very long time. The last question which I asked myself was, what are the 5 houses which people can look to explore the world of oud, especially dhanal oud, which means fat of wood in Arabic. Now that means it's a pure oud oil. There is nothing else in it. It's not blended or it's not a mukhallat. Now, one of the first houses which I will recommend you is Oud Oil India. Now this particular house is quite a new house. It's just a 1 year old, but value for money this particular house is providing is very good. They have one of the fragrance or one of the attars, which is about 10,000 rupees a tola. Now you will say even 10,000 rupees a tola is quite high. In oud world, that's basic price. And their quality on that particular attar was very good. They do soaked and non-soaked. They do both kind of distilling also. So you should look to try this particular house. A second house which you should look to try is House of Ajmal, the most commercial of this particular list. Now this house I will recommend you is don't go for their lower end oud oil. That's not a great experience. They are soaked a lot and it has a barnyard quality to it. But their middle level and higher level oud oils, especially oud al-amiri, there was Riyan which I tried, very good oud oil in my opinion. and good value for money also, and it's commercially available, so it's easier for you to try. In fact, one of the first time I tried oud was at house of Ajmal also. The next house which I will recommend you is house of Tabib Oud. It's also from India. This house does very good artisanal oud oils, and they have been into oud for a very long time. I tried Brahmaputra too from this particular house. Absolutely enjoyed it. It's a very good clean oud oil in my opinion. Slightly expensive but cheaper than most of the Western houses which charge fortune for oud oil. We are actually quite lucky as Indians that we have so many distillers in India who are supplying to these Western houses. But you could go directly to these particular houses and get these artisanal ouds from them. You will say it's slightly expensive, but yeah, oud oils are not cheap. Like I said, the basic price is 10,000 rupees a tola. Then it can go upwards of 1 lakh rupees a tola, 2 lakh rupees a tola. This particular house I think does about 20,000, 30,000 rupees in that particular range. Next house which I want to recommend is house of ARK Enterprise. Now ARK, I have mentioned on this particular channel, I love their oud and their bakhurs. Other things I haven't enjoyed, their mukallas or other oils I haven't enjoyed, but they do oud very well. And one of the best ouds I have tried in my life is Khasul Khas from this particular house. Now this particular house has got all kind of variety of oud, from starting from like 5,000 rupees a tola, 10,000 rupees a tola, upwards of 1 lakh rupees a tola also. And I think Khasul Khas is their highest grade they have got available. I totally enjoy it. Whenever I am meditating, I put Khasul Khas and I meditate. That's the beauty of oud in my opinion also. The last house which I want to recommend is Immortal Oud. Now this particular house is from Southeast Asia, and they do Southeast oud, they don't do Hindi oud. And Southeastern ouds are more floral fruity as compared to Hindi oud, which is more masculine, I will say. And this particular house does quality oud. Some of the best Southeastern oud I have tried is from Ensar Oud. I own a couple of others from that particular house, but they are very, very expensive. Now this house does the same quality at 1/10 the price in my opinion. So if you're looking for Trat oud, Cambodian oud, things like that, then look to Immortal Oud. So guys, this is my video. I hope you enjoy it. This was more of an educational video rather than a review. And it took me a lot of time to get this kind of content going, so I will appreciate your like and subscribe. Until next time, have a great day. Bye bye. Cheers.